Namaste, aloha, my name is Janapati Das, and welcome to the Bhagavad Gita as it is class. Please accept my respects, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances, Srila Prabhupada, and my obeisances to Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Thank you for tuning in. We are going to continue through chapter 15, and we're going to start off with some chanting Krishna's names to get us started. Please join along. Namo Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Purakaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Krishayate Namasena Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gaurakaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Krishnayate Raja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasudeva Bhakta-vrinda Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Haribo. Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Godakaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prasthayate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so we were reading from chapter 15. We had read through chapter 9, and we left off at chapter 10. The title of this chapter is The Yoga of the Supreme Person. We have been reading about the nature of the material world being like a inverted banyan tree, and the Vedic hymns being the long branches that run, and the fruitive activities are actually, I believe the Vedic hymns were, the Vedic written rules and rituals were the leaves, and the branches were the fruitive activities, or vice versa. I can't remember, you can go back and check it. But anyway, it was explaining that there is no end, this just maze of the material world, but that the comes the source of all. There's a inverted banyan tree, so everything in the material world is a reflection of what is in the spiritual world, although the spiritual world is all purely spiritual and Krishna conscious. And they were talking about the activities that the living entity does in the modes of material nature, and the process by which they take on another material body. And we were talking about the different kinds of ears and tongues and noses that the living entity obtains based on its karmic activity in the material world. Text 10. Utkramadnatam stitam vapi bunjanam vagunan vitam vidmuja nanu pashanti ganana chakshushaha. Ukramantam, quitting the body. Wow, that's a mouthful of a word right there. Utkramantam, quitting the body. Shtitam, situated in the body. Vapi, either. Bunjanam, enjoying. Va, or guna anvitam, under the spell of the modes of material nature. We notice the word guna, but I guess anvitam means to be under the spells. Under the spell or illusioned. Vimulaja, foolish persons. Na, never. Anush pashanti, can see. Pashanti, one can see. Gana chakshusha, one who has the eyes of knowledge. That's one who, Gana chakshusha. That would be a great name of a kid. Gana chakshusha das. Or Dasi. Translation, text 10, chapter 15. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. It's a very poignant verse. The foolish, the vimuja, the foolish living entities under the condition, who are illusioned and conditioned by the modes of material nature, cannot understand. They don't have a vision of understanding that, they think, well, when a person dies, that's it. They just die, the person's dead, and they don't realize that the living entity is quitting the body, leaving the body. The body is dying, but the living entity is not dying. So, and the body they get is conditional upon the modes of material nature. And this is what we were talking about. So there's so much push and fighting and struggle about identity. Like who I am. As we're even reading today, there was this fight between a school board that didn't want the school to be playing music from that was in honor of Stonewall. Stonewall was a gay bar in the 60s where the police came in and cracked down on homosexuals. And so they now, to this day, they think it's a representation of LGBTQ. The board is saying this is not appropriate for children to be playing or having this kind of propaganda within the school and the taxpayer playing. And the other side is saying, well, this is our identity, you know. So I'm not going to get into the details of that, but we've talked about this identity. People have a certain type of body and a certain propensity based on the activities they've engaged in previous lives, and this is explained very clearly here in the Bhagavad Gita. But so it's not like, well, you know, it's better to be transgender or better to be gay or straight or white or black or whatever. It's better to understand one's identity as not the body. And now there is something to be said about living a heterosexual lifestyle, because that is closer to the nature of what is expected by Krishna in the material world. But that's a whole nother class, and I get too much in it. Maybe someone will see this and be like, oh no, YouTube's got to ban this guy because he's homophobic or something. But it's very clear about identity. The identity is not gay, straight, black, white, man, woman, tall, straight, old. The identity is Jivatma. That is a spiritual entity. And we've gone through this, and this is the essence of what the Bhagavad Gita talks about. So, but one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. How does one receive the spiritual vision that Krishna is talking about? How does one do that? You know, we can't do it by our own mental speculation. We must approach a bona fide spiritual master, or the lover of Krishna, the one who has the knowledge, who's received the knowledge in a disciplic lineage from their spiritual master, and receive it humbly from them. And this is just try to learn the truth. Chapter 4, verse 32. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, render loving service humbly to him, and he can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth from his own spiritual master. So, purport by Bhaktivedanta. So your eyes are trained in knowledge, and there is a process by that, which chanting of Krishna's names is key. The chanting of Krishna's names purifies one's heart, so one can become trained in knowledge and can accept the knowledge, because the chanting Krishna's names is knowledge. It's transcendental knowledge. The word Jnana, so this is purport by Bhaktivedanta, the word Jnana Chakshusha, I like that, is very significant. I like how Bhaktivedanta phrases these things. Without knowledge, one cannot understand how a living entity leaves his present body, nor what form of body he is going to take in his next life, nor even why he is living in a particular type of body. So there's a lot of particulars, and what is explained, that just surrender your life to Krishna is explained pretty early in the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, it's said throughout the Bhagavad Gita, but the particulars like this, the knowledge, the particulars of knowledge is received from the spiritual master, just like Krishna is receiving, Arjuna is receiving from Krishna. So, without knowledge, one cannot understand how a living entity leaves his present body, nor what form of body he is going to take in the next life, nor even why he is living in a particular type of body. So it's just, you don't know, you're left to this mental speculation. Even this conversation, I gave my brother a Bhagavad Gita because he had no idea. And when I've tried to explain this to him, it's just like, he doesn't quite get it. So I hope he reads the Bhagavad Gita to understand that. I was trying to explain to them about the body of my father, the body of the living entity in the body of my father, who played the role of my father a year and a half ago, left his body. And we had this conversation with my older brother, and my older brother also has cancer. So we've been having conversations about this. I told him, you're not your body. You're not your body. Dad was not his body. It's like when he so-called died, he just left. He's gone. He's still existing, but he's not in that form of body. The body's been cremated and put into an urn. But that is not, whether that urn of ashes goes into the ground and becomes whatever, it's just particles of matter. It's not really what it was, something that my father was wearing on himself while he was in the body. But when he left the body broke down and they had to burn it and whatever. So this takes particular knowledge, and this requires a great amount of knowledge understood from Bhagavad Gita and similar literatures heard from a bona fide spiritual master. One has to approach a spiritual master, renders loving service unto them, and then he can impart the knowledge. And it's not like, we could read the Bhagavad Gita, but without the spiritual master to help guide us through the Bhagavad Gita, you could read the whole Bhagavad Gita and not understand any of it. You just not understand it. So you must approach the guide, the spiritual master, who gives you instructions, mainly gives you very simple things to do. Do your japa, hear some japa, do some rounds, chant, come to chanting, and the chanting will purify your heart so that you can hear, so you can experience, so you can have more self-realizations, and then when you open up the Bhagavad Gita, you come across this and you say, wow, I never saw that before, but now I see it. Excuse me. So one who is trained to perceive all these things is fortunate. So it is a training. This is why they call it a disciple, because a disciple is disciplined in his life. He's taking the instructions of a spiritual master and the Bhagavad Gita and Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, and he's applying those things in his life as best as he can. And as he grows deeper in his faith and in his abilities, he surrenders more. The surrendering process is there. He surrenders more. He applies more. He listens more. He chants more. He pulls back from those things in the material world that he was doing that were attaching him to the material world. And that is training. That is the discipline, which is the word disciple comes from. You have to be disciplined. You can't be a lazy butt. Can't be lazy in spiritual life. It's not about being, we're very lazy, especially in America. We've got a lot of money, and we've just been trained to be lazy dogs and not think and not act and not really care for our spiritual life, for that matter, too. We used to be the opposite, but nowadays in Mayadevi progresses, Kali Yuga progresses further and further down the road. This is what's happening. One who is trained to perceive all these things is fortunate, so fortunate that you're able to take on these things, these austerities. You're very fortunate. There are so many living entities in the universe who do not have this knowledge, and so that's why it's key to apply it and share it. Every living entity is quitting his body under certain circumstances. He is living under certain circumstances and enjoying under certain circumstances under the spell of material nature. Yeah, and one of the greatest illusions in the material nature that Mayadevi plays on people is that you are in control of your own life. You're in control, you're the man, you're number uno, you're badass, you're great. You should love yourself. It's like that was the greatest trick when the psychologists started spreading the self-love farce. You should love yourself. Oh, feel good about yourself. Love yourself. Right? So and if you have this knowledge and you see it and you've been chanting, you can step back from it and you can see watching this carnival kind of unfold in front of you, and people are just like woohoo, they're just like in it. And that reminds me, and I brought it up before, I think Pinocchio is one story, but there was a story of the Pilgrim's Way. I think it was the Pilgrim's Way or the Pilgrim's Journey or something like that, one of those books. But the Pilgrim is a Christian, what is it called, a myth story. Very great. I recommend it to have it in your library. It has biblical quotes that go along with it, but this man, he has this vision, and he realizes his life is not what it should be. He should be engaging in spiritual life, and he engages on this quest, meeting all kinds of people. At one point, he comes to a town, and the town is called, I can't remember, but it was a town that basically, they're very friendly and very accommodating, but they encourage you to enjoy yourself, right? Enjoy. Here, you've been very tired. Let's make you rest, and we'll give you all kinds of food. And so basically, then you get caught in this town, and you don't want to leave. You don't want to continue with your spiritual life. You want to enjoy yourself, enjoy your life. And it's not saying that in life you shouldn't enjoy yourself, because spiritual life is not a bummer. It's enjoyment. But you have to realize what the material world is and have a clear vision. And so then the main character was like realizing that, and his friend was caught up and didn't want to go, but they weren't going to let him go. And I got to get a copy of this book. I don't know what happened. I used to have I keep getting these books and then, traveling and giving them away, but I got to find it again. It was a really good book. It's called The Pilgrim's Way. I think there was two books. There's The Pilgrim's Progress and The Pilgrim's Way. It's two books, yeah. I'm not sure if it's the same author. One is John Bunyan. The other one is... Anyway. So, as a result, he is suffering different kinds of happiness and distress under the illusion of sense enjoyment. Persons who are everlastingly fooled by lust and desire lose all power of understanding their change of body and their stay in a particular body. They cannot comprehend it. So it's this lull, you get in when you engage in the process of bhakti yoga, you start to see things for what they really are. It's like, whoa, okay, now I'm really seeing the material world, as Tusta Krishnadas says, the pen of Srila Prabhupada punctures this illusory so-called oasis, and just revealing what a desert the material world really is. But people are trying to enjoy themselves under the illusion. They're fooled by their lust and desire, and they have no understanding. You don't really understand until you start chanting, and you start applying these things, and you're like, wow, okay, now I really see it. Those who have, that's how powerful material nature is. Maya Devi is so strong. Those who have developed spiritual knowledge, however, can see that the spirit is different from the body and is changing its body and enjoying in different ways. A person in such knowledge can understand how the conditioned living entity is suffering in this material existence. Therefore, those who are highly developed in Krishna consciousness try their best to give this knowledge to the people in general, for their conditional life is very much troublesome. They should come out of it and be Krishna conscious and liberate themselves to transfer to the spiritual world. Yeah, we don't really know where people are spiritually, and so you can't really, sometimes you may think that a person may not be very spiritually, and you don't want to really, they're going to look at you weird or something when you tell them about chanting or spiritual life, but really they're like, oh wow, yeah, tell me more. They want to come to a kirtan. As on the flip side, sometimes you may think, oh, that person is very happy-go-lucky, very kind of liberal. They like chanting, and you try to talk to them about that, and they're just like, oh, don't preach to me. You're part of a cult or something, So, you just have to do your best you can to try to share what you've been given. Text 11. Yatanto yoginas chayanam Pashyanti atmani avashtitam yatanto pi akratatmano nanam pashyanti achetashaha yatantaha, endeavoring, yoginaha, transcendentalists, cha also, enam this, pashyanti, can see, atmani, in the self, avashtitam, situated, yatantaha, although endeavoring, api, although, akrita atmanaha, without self-realization, na, does not, enam this, pashyanti, can see, ishtashaha, undeveloped mind. Interesting words. Translation: the endeavoring transcendentalist who is situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those who are not situated in self-realization cannot see. Cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to. So it's not like sometimes philosophers are trying to get to a level of understanding, and I know this because I used to be one of these kind of armchair philosophers that like to speculate, and you kind of get off on this, higher thinking, and you're trying to come to some clear idea about what is the nature of reality, and you're just frustrating. You can't get to it. You may try to do that, but you're not situated in the self-realization. You don't really understand who the self is. You don't really know who you are. There are many transcendentalists in the path of spiritual self-realization, but one who is not situated in self-realization cannot see how things are changing in the body of the living entity, especially if you believe that, even if you know Aham Brahmasmi, I'm spiritual, but you have a conclusion that the self is not real, that it is actually the greater self. You are God, right? So you wouldn't have that philosophy that you're racking up karma and are developing a future body because you're a living entity engaging in the false illusion of the material world. You actually just think you're God, so that you've just taken out that whole section. The word yoginaha is significant in this connection. In the present day, there are many so-called yogis, and there are many so-called associations of yogis, but they are actually blind in the matter of self-realization. They are simply addicted to some sort of gymnastic exercise and are satisfied if the body is well built and healthy. So even Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru, my spiritual master, has said that, people place so much importance to asanas, hatha yoga, asanas, right, as being like the all in all. He's like, well, it's just mainly there to keep your body healthy so you can practice meditation. If you don't need to do yoga, he's saying. You don't need to do yoga. You could do Tai Chi, you could do running or swimming or, any other kind of exercise. But that's why they're saying that that there's so much money, and I think probably a lot of the yogis who brought over hatha yoga, there are a lot of those who saw the amount of money and the money and the pretty girls and the tight clothes they could exploit. So now yoga is so popular in the West. There's all kinds of yoga. There's beer yoga and goat yoga and hot yoga and Bikram yoga and yoga this and yoga that, and people just like yoga trainings, and they have not a really clear understanding of philosophy, it's a mess. So this is but they may know so much about the particulars of hatha yoga, but they're really blind in the matter of self-realization. They're simply addicted to gymnastics exercise. That's why I think it's great Bhaktivedanta calls it gymnastic exercise, and are satisfied if the body is well built and healthy. And the conclusion that their body is healthy, they don't even realize that it's in yoga, the asana process and the Ashtanga process is a very strict, what's the word, abstinence. You're not engaging in sexual activity. If you're engaging in the process of trying to raise the life air, for example, in the Ashtanga process, what used to be the process of meditation, was that you would control your senses. But people get in yoga and the girls are in their hot pants and, bending over and doing all this thing, and everyone, they're ooh, that's a cute yoga instructor, and there's all this weird mixture of stuff about tantra sex and doing asanas for the matter of having a healthy body so you can have good sex, and it's just complete craziness. They have no other information. So because they don't have any information about what yoga really is about, they're teaching this nonsense. They are called yatantopi akratatmanaha. Even though they are endeavoring in a so-called yoga system, they are not self-realized. So mana means the mind, right? So they are not really realized. Such people cannot understand the process of the transmigration of the soul. Only those who are actually in the yoga system and have realized the self, the world, and the Supreme Lord, in other words, the Bhakti yogis, those engaged in pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness can understand how things are taking place. So there is a process. And it used to be that in the Ashtanga system, one would do asanas, and not really complicated, too much, mainly to try to control the breathing, focus the breathing with the mind, and to help limber up the body so that one could actually engage in pranayama and pratyahara, the focus of the mind. Because when your body is uncomfortable, it's like this day and age, you've been like working out or you slept wrong on your neck, and you're just like, people do yoga because it makes them feel better. But then it's not, you don't just stop there. They do it so that the body is limber, there's blood flow, the chi is flowing, or the prana, what they call the prana, is flowing freely. You feel good, you have clarity of mind, you're able to focus. Therefore, you can focus on your breath and in and out, inhalation and exhalation, and all those processes of Ashtanga yoga. So it's not bad to do yoga, but you have to understand where it's coming from. So it's good. It's good. You should take care of your body. You should take care of your breath. But for the purpose of engaging in meditation and engaging in the service of your spiritual master and Krishna. Text 12. Yad aditya gatam tejo jagat bashayate kilyam yat chandra mashi yat shagnu now tatejo vidi mamakam yat, that which aditya gatam, in the sunshine, aditya gatam, that's nice, teja, splendor, jagat, the whole world, bashayate, illuminates, akhilam, entirely, yat, that which, chandra mashi, in the moon, bashayate. Some of the Sanskrit is so beautiful. Chandra masi, in the moon, like Chandra, the goddess of the moon, or the god of the moon. Yat, that which, cha, also, agnau, in the fire, tat, that, teja, splendor, vidi, understand, mama, come, from me. I like that word, vidi. Vidi is understand. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Beautiful. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Wonderful. Purport: the unintelligent cannot understand how things are taking place. The beginning of knowledge can be established by understanding what the Lord explains here. Everyone sees the sun, moon, fire, and electricity. One should simply try to understand that the splendor of the sun, the splendor of the moon, and the splendor of electricity or fire are coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In such a conception of life, the beginning of Krishna consciousness, lies a great deal of advancement for the conditioned soul in this material world. The living entities are essentially the parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, and He is giving herewith the hint how they can come back to Godhead, back to home. From this verse, we can understand that the sun is illuminating the whole solar system. There are different universes and solar systems, and there are different suns, moons, and planets also. Sunlight is due to the spiritual effulgence in the spiritual sky of the Supreme Lord. With the rise of the sun, the activities of human beings are set up. They set fire to prepare their foodstuff. They set fire to start the factories, etc. So many things are done with the help of fire. Therefore, sunrise, fire, and moonlight are so pleasing to the living entities. Without their help, no living entity can live. It's true. Without our moon, everything is set in place. Without the sunlight and the proper distance, our bodies, if we didn't have sun, we'd be dead within a really short time. By Krishna's arrangement, everything is set perfectly. Therefore, sunrise, fire, and moonlight are so pleasing to the living entities. Without their help, no living entity can live. So if one can understand that the light and splendor of the sun, moon, and fire are emanating from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, then one's Krishna consciousness will begin. By the moonshine, all the vegetables are nourished. The moonshine is so pleasing that people can easily understand that they are living by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So this is like Krishna consciousness, and we can see within the Bhagavad Gita there's a lot of references where Krishna identifies himself with the things in the material world for our benefit, so that we can remember Krishna at every step, right? Everything we think about. The sun, we think it's because of Krishna, because of the spiritual world. We can remember things. It's good to remember things. We see trees outside. We think of all kinds of stories about Krishna, and to be tolerant like the tree, like in Lord Chaitanya's third prayer. We can be meditating on Krishna. It's not like we have to open up a Bhagavad Gita or find a scripture. We can, if we've been reading the scriptures, if we've been hearing our spiritual master, we have these stories already in our head, in our heart, and so we can reflect upon them and remember them. We can remember Krishna. We got to look back here, and I know this story about Krishna and the wonderful Krishna and wonderful the Vrindavan, and Krishna is telling Balaram how wonderful Vrindavan is, and how the residents of Vrindavan love Balaram. It's so beautiful, and I love this picture. It's just like Vrindavan is such a wonderful place, they say, and the spiritual world is such a wonderful place because of Krishna and Balaram, and all the living entities are loving and happy, and the material world is not that way, So, but we can be when we remember Krishna, and we put Krishna into the equation. The moonshine is so pleasing that people can easily understand that they are living by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Without His mercy, there cannot be sun. Without His mercy, there cannot be moon. And without His mercy, there cannot be fire. And without the help of the sun, moon, and fire, no one can live. These are some thoughts to provoke Krishna consciousness in the conditioned soul. So everything is the mercy of Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. All the good things, all the perceivable bad things, seemingly bad things. Everything is Krishna's mercy, because it helps us come closer to Krishna. Okay, text 13. one more. Gamma Vishya Chabat Bhutani Darayami Aham Ojasa Pushnami Chaud Sadihi Sarvaha Somo Bhutva Rasat Makaha. Gam, the planets, Avishya, entering, Cha, also, Bhutani, living entities, Darayami, sustaining, Aham, I, Ojasa, by my energy, Pushnami, nourishing, Cha, end, Ausadihi, all vegetables, Sarvaha, all, Soma, the moon, Bhutva, becoming, Rasa Atmaka, supplying the juice. Translation: I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. So they're actually, the moonlight nourishes a lot of vegetables and gives life to vegetables. It is understood that all the planets are floating in the air only by the energy of the Lord. The Lord enters into every atom, every planet, and every living being. That is discussed in the Brahma Samhita. It is said there that one plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, enters into the planets, the universe, the living entity, and even into the atom. So due to his entrance, everything is appropriately manifested. When the spirit soul is there, a living man can float on the water. But when the living spark is out of the body and the body is dead, it sinks. Of course, when it is decomposed, it floats just like straw and other things. But as soon as a man is dead, he at once sinks in the water. Similarly, all these planets are floating in space, and this is due to the entrance of the supreme energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His energy is sustaining each planet, just like a handful of dust. If someone holds a handful of dust, there's no possibility of the dust falling, but if one throws it in the air, it will fall down. Similarly, these planets which are floating in air are actually held in the fist of the universal form of the Supreme Lord. By his strength and energy, all moving and unmoving things stay in their place. It is said that because of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sun is shining and the planets are steadily moving. Were it not for him, all the planets would scatter like dust in air and perish. Similarly, it is due to the Supreme Personality of Godhead that the moon nourishes all vegetables. Due to the moon's influence, the vegetables become delicious. Without the moonshine, the vegetables can neither grow nor taste succulent. Human society is working, living comfortably, and enjoying food due to the supply from the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, mankind would not survive. The word Rasatmakaha is very significant. Everything becomes palatable by the agency of the Supreme Lord through the influence of the moon. So that's why also many people's societies worship the moon, the power of the moon that controls the tides and, it's in gravitational pull with the earth, and there's a particular, purpose for the moon. Text 14. Aham Vaishnavanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha Pranapana Samayuktaha Pachami Anam Chaturvidam Aham I Vaishvanaraha. By my plenary portion as the digesting fire, Bhutva, becoming, Prani Nam, of all living entities, Deham, body, Asritaha, situated, Prana, outgoing air, Apana, downgoing air, Samayuktaha, keep balance, Pachami, digest, Annam, foodstuff, Chaturvidam, 4 kinds of. I am the fire of digestion in every living body, and I am the air of life, outgoing and incoming, by which I digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff. So this is Ayurvedic, the fire of digestion that digests our food, and the life air is According to Ayurvedic Shastra, and I'm not going to try to comment on that because I don't really have the knowledge about Ayurveda, but it's a very in-depth health system that was set up by an incarnation of Krishna in the Vedic system. According to Ayurvedic Shastra, we understand that there is a fire in the stomach which digests all food sent there. So we know that. Without that, when we feel that our digestive fire is out or problematic, things don't get digested. We throw stuff up. We get bloated and whatnot. So when the fire is not blazing, there is no hunger, and when the fire is in order, we become hungry. Sometimes when the fire is not going nicely, treatment is required. In any case, this fire is representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedic mantras also confirm that the Supreme Lord, or Brahman, is situated in the form of fire within the stomach and is digesting all kinds of foodstuff. Therefore, since he is helping the digestion of all kinds of foodstuff, the living entity is not independent in the eating process. We just put food in our mouth. Unless the Supreme Lord helps him in digesting, there is no possibility of eating. He thus produces and digests foodstuff, but it also is saying that because of the fire of digestion, which is provided by Krishna, that makes it so that we're hungry and not hungry. It's not just that we decide when we're hungry and not hungry. It's just when the fire of digestion is correct. He thus produces and digests foodstuff, and by his grace we are enjoying life. In the Vedanta Sutra, this is also confirmed. Shabda dib yonta pratishtanaka cha. The Lord is situated within sound and within the body, within the air, and even within the stomach as a digestive force. There are 4 kinds of foodstuff. Some are swallowed, some are chewed, some are licked up, and some are sucked. And he is the digestive force for all of them. So in the samsara prayer, which we say to our spiritual master, not the Sri Guru prayer, but the samsara davanala lila loka, there is a part of the prayer which it talks about the different kinds of foods that we offer to Krishna and to our spiritual master, and the different kinds of foods that are offered to Krishna are here are 4 kinds of food stuff: chewed, licked, sucked, and drunk, I believe. Swallowed, chewed, licked up, and sucked. And it's kind of a long next verse. So I think we're going to stop at 14, and we will pick up next time and chant real quickly, just a few minutes, and I got to go. Krishna, Krishna Krishna Haribo. Thank you very much. See you next time. Namaste.